Hey, this is Forrest from the Olympic Outdoor Center. Pioneers in paddling since 1986. We've been outfitting kayakers here in the Pacific Northwest for over 30 years. So today we're going to share a couple of lessons we've learned along the way when selecting the proper kayak paddle. There are many different options when it comes to choosing the proper shaft for you as a paddler. And shaft, of course, is the part of the paddle which we're going to be holding on to while we're out on the water. So we want to do our best to optimize the shaft diameter in a straight versus a bent shaft according to our needs as an individual. So shaft options, as far as diameter is concerned, we have the option as paddlers of selecting a standard diameter shaft or a small diameter shaft. This decision is fairly subjective. If you want to get empirical, one of the ways that we could figure out, okay, well, do I need a standard versus a small, is if you take your hand and measure from where your base of your palm all the way up to the top of your middle finger. If you're under 6.5 inches, it may be a good idea for you to try a small shaft. That way you're experiencing less fatigue when you're holding on to the paddle. If your hand measures over 6.5 inches, standard shaft is maybe the right route for you. Again, part of this process is going to be putting your hands on the shafts themselves so you can get a feel for what feels best for you. Werner paddles are also available in straight shaft options, and then a bent shaft option. Now, if a paddler can make a concerted effort to use proper technique, a straight shaft paddle is a great option because it's lighter weight than a bent shaft paddle. And when I say proper technique, what I'm referring to is as I take a stroke, I want to ensure that my wrist stays in line with my forearm. Now, one of the tendencies with a straight shaft is for people, of course, to extend that paddle out as far as they can. And in doing so, I'm going to inadvertently get my wrist out of line with my forearm. These little ligaments and tendons in my wrist are fairly sensitive, and over time, if I'm putting a lot of stress on them with each stroke, that can cause repetitive use injuries or aggravate existing repetitive use injuries, especially if you're paddling a lot. Now, what this bent shaft acts to do is the bent shaft is going to allow me, I'm going to turn this way this time. If I grab here in the crux of the bend, it's going to allow me to reach my hand out, okay, and forces me to keep my wrist in line with my forearm throughout the entirety of the stroke. Okay, so it acts as kind of an insurance policy for my body, and that if I have a repetitive use injury already, or I have sensitivity in my wrist, or I know I'm going to be paddling a lot, a bent shaft paddle is a good option because it forces me to keep these two in line, thereby lessening the stress on these ligaments. Again, a straight shaft paddle is a great option as long as you keep in mind you need to keep that wrist in line with your forearm. As far as performance is concerned, people ask us all the time, it's like, well, am I getting any more performance out of a bent shaft paddle? No, you're getting an insurance policy in order for you to make sure that the ergonomic position of your wrist is in line with your forearm. That's going to allow you over time to spend more time on the water with less fatigue as well. And again, you'll see the overarching goal of this video is to kind of emphasize that we want you to be able to spend the most time out on the water, and in doing so, your paddle being the tool that provides locomotion, serves as your motor out there, is the most important piece of equipment to optimize in order for you to do that. Hopefully some of the information you've picked up in this video are going to allow you to make an informed decision. If you ever have any questions about what was presented here today, please feel free to give us a call or contact us at olympicoutdoorcenter.com. Thanks for watching. Happy paddling.